Hi, Wolfies. Hi, Wolfies. Hello, everybody. Thanks to Amanda for having me. I'm Dr. Barbara Ford Shabazz with Intentional Activities, your life coaching source. You can find me usually on IG at intentional.activities or Facebook and Pinterest at Intentional Activities. I really need to step up my LinkedIn game. However, I'm there sometimes, and I need to be on Twitter a little bit more than every 6 months. The best way, however, to reach me is at intentionalactivities.com. That's the hub of Intentional Activities. That's the website. I'm a psychologist by trade and a certified life coach by choice. I use Intentional Activities as a coaching tool to equip my clients for action leading to goal getting and intentionally authentic living. Intentional means done on purpose, deliberate. You're determined to do something a certain way, to act in a certain way. Intentional activities are actions or exercises that require some degree of daily personal effort. Intentional activities are tasks that promote well-being and also authentic living. But we'll talk a little bit more about specifically what they are. Hi, Kimba. Thanks for being here. Thank you for reading the newsletters and giving me feedback too. Thank you. As we go on a little bit later in the live session, we'll talk about the specifics of intentional activities and exactly what they are. So after being laid off twice in 1 year, between 2014 and 2015, this Intentional Activities life coaching source was actually created out of my necessity to make lemonade out of the lemons that life threw my way. Prior to the first time I was laid off, I was super stressed out. I was teaching 4 new classes I had never taught before. I was staying up until at least 1 a.m. every night, lesson planning, before having to wake up before 6 o'clock the next morning to get my boys ready for school. And one evening when I was sitting in Starbucks with my to-do list swirling around in my head, I took a napkin out and I just drew out, I wanted to kind of do a brain dump. So I just drew out everything that I had to do, all of my roles. I knew that I was wearing quite a few hats at the time, but I didn't realize the level of involvement with each one. So while there are various ways to do it, hi Amanda. While there are various ways to do it, this was my version of what I would normally call to my students a life map. So this napkin I have right here, but it is pretty involved. And so I'm in the middle there, and radiating from the middle are all of the tasks I kind of had going on. Thanks, Amanda. And this might be a better way for you to see it. Hopefully the light will work with me. If you look at you in the middle, you can see you, and radiating from you is family, education, work, lifestyle, relationships, health, finances, whatever activities that you have going on, whatever roles in your life you have going on, would be part of your life map. It's a good visual depiction of your journey, what's going on at the time, and depending on how you choose to use it, there's so many out there, there's so many different templates. It can actually help you course correct. Yes, the napkin stressed me out too. Exactly. But it actually added a lot of clarity. And that's what it does for my clients too. It gives them clarity because so many times we have so much going on, but we don't exactly realize the magnitude of it until we seek a visual representation. So I would recommend that you figure out whatever type of life map works for you. just to do a brain dump and realize how you might need to course correct or how you might need to proceed and chart your future. So I realized after that stressed out napkin that I still have years later that my life was way out of balance quickly. I was stuck though. I had bills, I had car repairs. Literally in every check came a car repair. I couldn't quit, but being laid off not only once but twice was the catalyst for me to figure out how to start searching for more balance. So today I want to share with you some of the steps of intentional balance that can be beneficial to you as you negotiate this thing that we call life. We're going to approach this graceful juggle using the first letters of the word balance. So it might be a little bit easy for you to kind of remember. All right. B. We're going to say that the B stands for be intentional. Balance doesn't just happen. It doesn't just happen. We have to be very deliberate, again, intentional about achieving it. So whether you're a planner or not, it does take some determination to act in a certain way. Being intentional also begins with listing your values. What do you value? Have you taken the time to write down your top 5 values? We're so busy in life, we don't many times take the time to think. Do you value good health, money, financial stability, marriage, self-care? Yes, balance does not just happen at all. It takes work. It's work. Do you value quality time with friends and family? If you value good health and quality time with friends and family, for instance, working a job that requires 80 hours of you per week probably doesn't accurately reflect your values. So take some time to write down your values. So after you have those values, then we can figure out our goals. Values drive goals. Goals are the means for achieving values. So if, for instance, you value good health, you may have a goal of meal prepping for the week on Sunday. So you won't be tempted to eat things that you don't feel are healthy during the week. Your value of good health prompted you to follow through on your goal of meal prepping. So when you search for values behind your goals, you also want to look for a so that statement. Your so that statement explains why you're pursuing the goal. It's your why of the goal. For example, I am using one of our Academy member, Yael's Flago fitness bands 3 times a week so that I can achieve better strength training and health. So my value behind the goal was good health. And my action that I'm taking is using the fitness bands. So my value and my goal aligns. We know again that being intentional isn't easy. It requires persistence and self-reflection. When we are not committed, we find ourselves quitting because our values don't align with our goals. Hi, Ardon. So for instance, if I was given the opportunity to work 4 nights a week, but I value family time, my value is not really lining up with my goal of earning money. All right, so it would be more in line with my value if I were to accept a shift that required me to work morning hours. Let's say from the time I dropped off my children at school until the time they got out of school. So I would probably be less likely to quit because my value with a morning shift aligned with my goal of having that family time. So think about your values and your goals and how they align. There are a couple of quotes that remind me from time to time to be intentional that I refer to. The first is, a goal without an action plan is just a dream. The second is, there are people less qualified than you doing things you want to do simply because they decide to believe in themselves. You might notice, if you are ever on social media, that you see people who might not have the skill set that you have, might not have the qualifications that you have, doing the same things that you want to do. So that is a reminder for you not to let those things that you think you don't have stop you from doing what you want to do. Because people who want to do it just get out there and do it. Setting authentic goals takes courage also. The courage to believe it's possible. And we call the courage to believe it's possible hope. All right. So B is be intentional. A stands for adapt. We can't prevent some of the fires that we'll have to put out. We just can't. I had no idea that my computer cord would stop charging my laptop before I did this live. But stressing out has never helped anything. You've never heard anyone say, oh, I had this big problem and I stressed out and the problem was taken care of. No, stress doesn't help. So I had to go to plan B. So we should always have a plan B in place. Adapt. We can't predict the distractions that will occur daily. There are some days when I totally just laugh at my to-do list because by the time my oldest son calls me and tells me he forgot something, and my youngest son calls me and tells me I forgot to sign a form, and my husband calls me to tell me I left my license at home, my to-do list is basically shot as I knew it. So we have to be willing to be flexible. We can decide to be flexible. We have to adapt to the interruptions that life throws our way. Stressing out has never helped anything. Yes, and you are a proponent of that, always saying it. So if you're a planner with a never-ending to-do list, be willing to rework your list. Cross items off of your list, move them to the next day, move them to the next week. Be okay with that. It's really okay. Another thing we can do differently in choosing to adapt is to be willing to compromise. Be willing to compromise. Make sure that you're managing your time efficiently, though, because that way, if you do have disruptions, they won't totally throw you off course and derail you. So if we're prepared a little bit, and if we're managing our time efficiently, the blow might not be so bad from distractions. So we have be intentional for B. We have adapt for A. For L, we have live. The poet Rumi says, let the beauty of what you do, let the beauty of what you love be what you do. Let the beauty of what you love be what you do. Live the life that you want. You. Make decisions based on your values and your goals and not those of others. Have you ever found yourself looking for confirmation or looking for someone else to make a decision for you, and the decision just doesn't feel right? It's kind of off. Okay? Well, there's a reason why it's kind of off, because their values are not necessarily, thank you, Amanda, their values are not necessarily your values. All right? So that's why it might feel off. There have been so many times where I've had advisees in my office crying because they are not happy with the major that their parents chose for them. They're not living their best lives. They're not living the lives that they want. They're living the lives that someone else wanted for them. So that's never going to feel right if it's not the life that you want to live. So you make decisions based on your values, your goals, and not the goals of others. Communicate. You all, even when it's uncomfortable or uneasy, have the tough conversations. We have to have the tough conversations. Okay? But because at the end of the day, you're left with you. Only you. And what we'll find also, hi Justin, thanks for joining, is that amazing things happen when we put ourselves out there with intention, flaws and all. Again, we don't need to strive for perfection, but progress.